Can you see me? So I'm trying here a new streaming service called Melon, spelled with one L, and I'm seeing if it pops up here. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Um, the one thing I don't like is that it puts the words on, kind of covers my face. I don't know if you see that or not. So I want to try to get rid of that. Let me just see if I'm. The one thing I don't like. Yeah. Okay, so there's definitely volume. You can hear me. You can see me, which is great. So what I love about this is it streams not only to Facebook, wherever I want to point it. Right now it's going to the group, you guys, but it's also going over to YouTube at the same time. I have a healthy channel there filled with videos on how to. So if you are not hooked up to my YouTube channel, is Dallas Piana. Go over there, subscribe to it, and turn on the bell. And if many of you, I know, if you can't catch the live, you know just to go over there to the YouTube channel. It's very easy. They're set up in sequence of dates. It's very easy to find the latest and greatest as far as training here from Coaching Scaling Secrets. So if you're just hopping on, say hi. Love to see who's on. And if you said maybe and you're going to catch the replay later, great. We will tag you. That's our new thing. If you can't make it and you want to be notified about this live, just when the event comes up and you're actually invited, just say maybe, and we will, Patricia or myself, go back and tag you in the comments after it so that you get notified of where to go to catch the live, or you can go to my YouTube channel, either way. All right, today is really kind of interesting. We're going to talk about proving the value of your product. And I'm going to say product to kind of capture anything like your program, a service. Maybe you are selling a product. Maybe you're selling a digital product. Maybe you're selling a book. Okay, so product is the kind of the theme, and all these different ways of expressing a product we use: program, offer, service, actual physical product, something like that. Okay, so what you want to do is, if your product is, let's say, $1,000, you want to demonstrate or talk about or show how your product is worth 3 to 5 to 10 times more valuable than the actual cost of the program. Okay, because if you don't, people will say, so, I'm only getting XYZ, which is interesting. I put out a kind of shout out post about this last week, and one of you gals said, how do I do this when my program or product does not yield someone find more money? Okay, so in my business, what I prove is that when you work with me, you will definitely get clients. So the value of the program, you will get that back financially. Okay, how do you demonstrate value that's not financial, right? That's what we're going to talk about today. How do you put a price tag on, or a value, or a return on investment, show a return on investment that is greater than what it costs to purchase your program, your product, your service, right? So there's other areas besides financial, which are valuable to people, right? There is emotional value. There is physical value, physical meaning the body, the spiritual, the mind, perhaps, okay? Personal value, mental value. And so what I want to do today is kind of show you, give you an example. I'm going to take something pretty that we can all kind of get our hands around. It's not specific to one area of coaching, because I know a lot of you are from very, a wide variety of different coaching backgrounds. And I didn't want to just specifically show you one area, but I'm going to take something probably none of you deal with, but you can learn from. Okay. And I'm going to share my screen. Now, I've never shared on this. Let's see how this goes. Screen. Let's see. Share. Entire screen. Let me see and we're going to pull this up. Let's see. Do you see this? I'm sharing. Let's see if it actually pops up here. There's a bit of a delay, so I'm just kind of looking here and see if you actually see it. Let me see. Doesn't look like it's popping up. Okay, so I'm just going to talk. It doesn't look like I have to master that. Okay. So what I'm going to talk about is someone, let's say that I think most of us have known a smoker. Maybe we've been a smoker, but a smoker is, something that people want to let go of. They want to be smoke free. So what is the transformation worth? So you want to look at where are people that are your ideal client, where are they at point A? Okay. Point A is where they currently are prior to working with you. Some people call it point A, other people call it world one. Some people actually call it Hell Island. Okay. Where point B is the after working with you. Point B would be where are they now, right? Or world two, world one, world two, or Hell Island, Heaven Island. You hear all of this in marketing, okay? But let's stay with point A and point B. So you want to make a list of everything where they are in point A. So you want to cover things that they're struggling with that kind of go over financial, the mentally, how they're feeling, physically, how they're feeling, emotionally, and spiritually. Okay. So I'm going to run through these. If your client was a smoker, okay, so it's easy to kind of go through all these areas. So one thing where they are standing in, which is they probably have bad gum disease, okay? Their breath smells and it's a costly situation, right? They've got to go to a periodontist probably at least once or twice in their life if they've been a smoker. And it costs thousands of dollars to have someone, work on the gums and correct it and blah, 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 okay? They may also be someone, if they're smoking, that they have cardiac issues, okay? And maybe they're on cardiac medication that they have to take daily. So what is how are they feeling around that? Maybe they feel like a prisoner. They're hooked on this drug. They never can stop taking this drug that will, because the drug is actually creating some kind of, taking away some of the symptoms that they're experiencing with cardiovascular disease. Okay. So that's where they might be point A. They may, from a self-consciously feel that, they're reeking of cigarettes. Okay. So they have an emotional feeling of being self-conscious around people. And perhaps people are repelled by the smoke smell. Therefore, they're not inviting this person over, into the group, sitting with them over, in a party or whatever. And the person may feel isolated. Also, you remember a lot of smokers feel isolated because they have to run down or run away from everybody to have a puff, right? Okay. How do I know all this? I used to be a smoker for a long time, and it was fine in the early days because everybody smoked. But as the years went on, less and less people smoke. And so you felt more like someone from outer space. You were so isolated and so alone, sitting out there on the bench, smoking alone. But, you had to feed the addiction, right? You had to feed the addiction. Another area of point A for a smoker is they're spending money not only on cigarettes, which is around $3,000 to $5,000 a year on cigarettes. If you smoke like a pack a day, half a day, it's a lot of money. But you're spending money on cleaners, having your clothes clean. Okay. If you actually are someone that wears, kind of more fancier clothes, going to the office, you have to spend money on getting your clothes clean. So there's added expenses, things like that. Perhaps your car stinks of cigarette smoke because you smoke in the car. So you're embarrassed to give someone a ride, feeling self-conscious. Okay. So do you see how I'm like looking at all the places where this person, the results of smoking, what is happening in their life by being a smoker. And you want to be doing this with your ideal client. What is happening to them? Okay, whatever that might be. If it's someone that is, wants to get a divorce, if it's someone that's in a lousy relationship or is looking for a relationship, you want to go deep into all the areas that at that place in time, how is it affecting them? This smoker may be spending a ton of money on programs, patches, and tools that don't work, okay, that are costly. And so he's feeling like, or she's feeling like a failure because they're trying, but nothing's working. And just, can't quit on their own. So they're frustrated with themselves and really are down on themselves. Maybe they have a chronic cough, so they're disruptive in a group setting, okay? So you want to flesh out everything from point A, where your ideal client is, okay? And what will, the transformation be worth? So generally, your ideal client will go through 2 transformations or 2 shifts when they work with you, when they go through your program, right? One is the actual achievement. So here in this example would be becoming a non-smoker, but there's also the inner work that is being done when you go through a program, right? And that is really what the transformation is all about, is the shift, okay? The paradigm shift, okay? That happens from letting go of something that you've been addicted to, in this case, addicted to for 20, 30, 40 years, and becoming a whole new you. So you need to look at then what is point B for your ideal client and start listing out what they're going to gain. Okay. So not only the physical gain, but things that can hit them emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, financially. So let's follow this through with the smoker so you can see. And then there is another step to it. Okay. So hang in there with me. So they definitely, if they stop smoking, they'll have improved health. Perhaps the lung capacity will expand. Their gums and their teeth will be improved. They'll probably have decreased medical, dental, and pharmaceutical expenses, right? Because they're healthier. Food tastes better. They can smell better. They're not completely, the cigarette smoke makes you so you can't really taste anything. You have decreased laundry fees and time at the laundry. You feel now included rather than excluded. So you're more connected to people. Your confidence improves, right? Because that whole like monkey on your back, that the embarrassment of smoking and feeling like you're an outcast because you smoke and nobody else is smoking. I mean, that all lifts. Okay. So who you are, it's just no longer a conversation anymore. It's like your confidence and your self-esteem improves tremendously. You feel that you've conquered addiction. You feel liberated. Okay. Perhaps you now are exercising more consistently, able to actually participate, on 3-mile runs or whatever it is, and not feeling out of breath. You feel that you are a role model to your younger generation, besides saving $3,000 to $5,000 a year. Perhaps now you can find a life partner because now your opportunities for open up because there are more people that are non-smokers than smokers. So now the possibilities have just enhanced tremendously. And perhaps now that, you're considered for a promotion, where before, because you were a smoker, perhaps they wouldn't consider you for a promotion, and now you are. I mean, these are just some of the things that may happen with point B when someone moves from smoking to non-smoker. So the idea is to really expose this in your content. Talk about point A. Break it down into, each one of the areas that you have identified. What does that look like? What does that feel like for your ideal client? And when they work with you, this is what's possible. Okay. Now, going back to the smoker may jump into a non-smoking program because they're sick of spending so much money. Okay. For another person, the money is not the issue. Okay. Let's say the money is not the issue, but the being addicted to a drug is the issue. All right. So you want to make sure in your content that you're talking about each one of these kind of transformations of what's possible, because you don't know who is going to step forward. What is it that they really desire? Not every person is going to be, I want to let it go because I'm spending up to $5,000 a year on smoking and I can't afford it anymore. For somebody else, it may be that they feel isolated from everybody else that is no longer a smoker. And that's what's bugging them. You remember, people raise their hand to work with you when they're finally desperate. They want it no matter what. Okay. So you want to expose that in your copy, that you know how they're feeling, what's possible in your program to release the feeling of isolation, to once feel liberated by not being hooked by an addictive substance, or to let go and finally have $5,000 a year extra that you can actually put into a savings account, go on a fancy trip, upgrade your car. You've got to identify in your content all those different areas that the person, to identify what is the transformation worth to them. Okay. And that shows for me, as a smoker, it wasn't really about the money. It was about the addiction, letting go of the addiction. Okay. So that was definitely worth the cost of the program. So much so, there really is no price tag on the value that I got out of going through a program to release smoking. Okay. Knowing what I know today, I would have paid, 3 times as much for sure. So you want to do this with who you serve, your ideal clients. You really want to do a comparison between point A and point B. And then this is great content to talk about. Okay. But you just don't want to just hit on one issue, because not everyone has that one issue that's going to make them jump into your program. Okay. It may be that somebody is sick of having bad breath all the time. Maybe that is what's driving them to pay someone to help them, stop smoking. Okay. Everyone is different, but you got to find the pain point, and talk about the pain point in multiple of different ways in your content so that you are addressing the situation and that people see that your program is worth way more. Your product is worth way more in the long run of what the actual cost is. That's what you want to prove. Is this making sense, you guys? I see my husband's on here. Hi, Mark. Yeah. So is it making sense? So what I would recommend is that you list where the person is at in point A before they start working with you, all the areas that, financially, mentally, emotionally, physically, and mentally. Write them down. And what is the inner feeling that's going on? What do you think is the inner conversation that's going on? What's haunting them? Okay. How is it affecting them? And then do a point B. What's going to happen? Okay. And then start writing content and telling stories between point A and point B. All right. So there you have it. I'm going to move on here. Hi, Jasmine. It makes sense? Good, good. And I forget where you are at. Let me see. Let me see if I can pull up. Health and wellness. Yeah. So energy. You're about energy. So you definitely want to talk about what is affecting them, not having that energy in point A, how is it affecting them in all those different areas, right? All those different areas, and what's possible after working with you in point B. Definitely. Okay, you guys, that's what I have for you today. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.